Welcome back to our discussion in English about the Democratic Republic of Congo. And today I wanted to talk about the tribe of Bakongo. And this is because it's the largest tribe in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I always wanted to understand really what was up with that matriarchal kind of way of being. And for those who do not know what it is, actually, it's the lineage of children take their name from their mother's side of the family. And just because all of us, and most of us actually, take our names from our father's side. And as I was just looking and trying to find information about this, I stumbled across a story that allegedly or presumably is the origin of the matriarchal system in the Bakongo tribe. And the story goes as such. Once upon a time, there was a wise king in a large, peaceful kingdom. But one day, this peace was disturbed, and it was disturbed because a family, a couple actually, was in turmoil, and they were fighting over the fact that the woman has revealed that some of the children of that man were not actually his, and instead they were from another man. And this became really a big issue where the husband got rid of the wife, and the respective family got involved, and it became a national or a village or a state issue where everybody was taking sides for this or that. And it created a really great um, disquiet in the kingdom. So the king asked all his sages to come back, and he was debating the matter, and he wanted to give his take. He listened to the woman's side, he listened to the man's side. In the end, the wise king came up with his decision, and his decision was that because it is the woman who knows the father, the true father of each of these children, she should keep all children. And from now on, everybody will take their names from their mother's side. And it became as such ever since. The end. If you are not Mukongo, or if you are a Mukongo of new generation, you can be excused to dismiss this story as a mere fable, which it is actually. And that is because we really are programmed to look down upon our own cultural legacies, but also because this story really sounds a little bit too primitive. But at the same time, you will fail to appreciate the meaning of that story and what it means to our societies today. And of course, these stories, the interpretation can go anywhere. And for me to remove most of the subjectivity into the story, I try and I do my best to really ground them in scientific data so that we can really grasp the meaning and the importance of these stories so that we can make sure that we use them and edify ourselves moving forward. And my aim is that after, when we're done with this monologue, so to speak, you will be able to understand the Bakongo a little better, but also you will be able to be amazed, really, to what makes the Bakongo such administrative and managerial geniuses, to be honest. And the fact that the woman in the story was able to articulate her side and make her case before the king is a great indication that the Bakongo society were organized as an egalitarian society, and where freedom of speech was really at the foundation of the whole society or social structure. And you don't really need any empirical data to know that societies that operate in this manner tend to do better organizationally than societies who do not. On the side of the rulership or leadership itself, what you can really see there is that the king has this almost transcendent nature to himself or herself. In this matter, it was himself. And he rises above gender considerations to be able to generate a society where there is an egalitarian, where opportunities are distributed equally among genders. And to really understand the link between spirituality or the spiritual nature of leadership in the Bakongo society, you have to jump out. You have to actually read other literatures. And the Bakongo, when you read this, you will realize that it was a very spiritually advanced society to the point where they were able to elaborate a monotheistic spiritual narrative. And it was really difficult, especially back then where everybody was worshiping everything. Spirituality for them then became a tool for expansion. It was a tool to build trust amongst other tribes that they were conquering. Because for them, instead of killing each other, they kind of came together and say, okay, you have God A and we have God B. Instead of killing each other, let's just try to find out what God A wants and what God B wants, and let's extract God C, who is above all these other gods. And that way, they can both live together. It was really a genius way of expanding an egalitarian society, and that made the Bakongo kingdom the largest in the area. It spanned around Angola and other regions, and in the Democratic Republic. It went far beyond the Democratic Republic of Congo as we know it, but it was large, and it was in part because of this genius idea of just building something that is really sustainable and expand it organically. And this really gives you the meat and the glimpse of how the Bakongo became really managerial and administrative geniuses. But we can say at the same time that the situation today, as we see it in the Democratic Republic of Congo, is far from being that ideal society that I just depicted. And the question remains, how did we get there? How did they get to lose such a jewel? It started when the Portuguese came into the picture with Diego Cao back in 1482. And what happened was really interesting, to say the least, because the Portuguese, Diego Cao had a first visit, then he went back, took some of the Congo, went back to Portugal, and came for the second time. They fought actually, but they understood something. They conquered the Bakongo the same way the Bakongo were expanding their kingdom. And they convinced them that the same God that the Bakongo, being monotheistic, is the same God that the Portuguese were worshiping. And later on, some people were appointed as ambassadors from the kingdom of Bakongo to Rome. When that was done, it opened the gate to a society that was living in a patriarchal system with a society that is mostly matriarchal. And because this hierarchy was kind of more domineering, and more powerful militarily, they were able to just swallow the other regardless, and they were not able to preserve the construct of their social grounding because the other one just took over. But more importantly, the Portuguese have shown that what made the Bakongo really strong, their spirituality, was really actually their Achilles heel as well. It was their weakness. Spirituality being the thing that the Bakongo cling upon, because I can bet that it is really, really rare to find a Mukongo that does not believe in something. That is not part of a religious organization. A spiritual experience is something that can be fostered by external factors. One of them is fasting. If you fast, you can access a spiritual experience. That's why when people fast, they do. There is another thing, music. There is dance. There are drugs that can actually get you there. And there is really experimental data that shows that this is the case. Now, when you have that scientific proof and actually living that, it is very easy to use that if you are another superpower. And in this case, I'm talking about Belgium. They were able to use the same thing. And you can see now, like religion or what we have left since they left, there was no other structure really after that, is that you see many religious groups coming up here and there. I was just thinking about it, and I was like, having a church in Kinshasa is the most profitable business that can be. And I'm not saying that every church or every pastor is doing a crooked work. I'm saying that they are hardly geniuses, to be honest. And it is easy to blame such and such doing this and that, but really it's the demand for what they're offering is so overwhelmingly vast. There is really shortage of religions or churches in Kinshasa to weave what is already there. If in the past you felt like all these many churches and religious groups or music groups and all such and such are just an accident, I would suggest you think again. Maybe it is by design. Maybe it is just the demand. But it is really doing harm, great harm, to what we could be. Because you have to consider that the Bakongo constitute or represent or used to represent almost 50% of the Congolese population. Simply put, where the Bakongo go, so the whole country goes. And if you have 50% of the population willing to go to church and having a religious experience every day, be it through church, be it through music, be it through dance or drugs, then you have a serious problem. Mzee Kabila used to say that, and this is allegedly, that as long as Kinshasa will be the capital city of the Democratic Republic of Congo, nothing good will come out of it. I think it's much deeper than that. You can move the city, really, frankly, you can move the city to the middle of the country, but as long as the Bakongo tribe will not be able to balance their spiritual life and the hard work, we have a big problem. We have many problems in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it is easy sometimes to point to external people as the root cause of our demise. But if we look really closely, we will find that we have most of the responsibilities as to what it is happening, as to what is happening in our country right now. I am not minimizing the number of deaths in Eastern Congo in regards to the wars that have been there. But I truly believe that the war is not in the east of Congo. The war is in the west. To be precise, the war is against the Bakongo. There is a lot of emphasis and sponsorship to things that feed, take away much of the Bakongo from what they are good at. And that is producing us administrative systems that will run our country in a very efficient way. And when we do, oh boy, there is no limit to what we'll be able to do with what God has given us. There is no limit for how much we can do to make sure that the natural resources of the Democratic Republic of Congo are a blessing for Congolese as much as it has been and will continue to be a blessing for the rest of the world. With that, thank you, and I will talk to you later for another tribe. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and suggest tribes that you wanted to know about, and we will just, my team and I will just go in and look for information and present to you in a way that will be positive to you and informative. Thank you, and talk to you later. Bye.